Most of you had to take the ACT or SAT to gain admission into USC, but let's be honest, how many of you actually enjoyed sitting down for 4 hours and taking that test, once or multiple times? My guess is around 0%. According to Evelyn Lee at Pepperdine University, standardized tests don't measure intelligence. What they measure is how well a student can sit and take a test. They measure how well students can learn the tricks to beat the system. They place entire futures on one 3 to 4 hour block of time, and therefore they should be abolished. Today, I will convince you that standardized tests need to be abolished. I will discuss how standardized testing is an unfair, inaccurate measure of students' true intelligence because of socioeconomical status and race, and how testing leads to poor mental health. I'll finish my speech with a place of action that could lead to fully abolishing these tests. But first off, I want to explain what a standardized test is. According to Brianna Burrows from Study USA, a standardized test is a test that is given to students in a very consistent manner, meaning that all the questions on the test are the same, the time given to each student is the same, and the way in which the test is scored is the same for all the students. Since these tests are used at a national level, they should be able to provide an accurate score that measures a student's intelligence. However, they do not do this. According to the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, standardized testing isn't a helpful evaluation tool because such tests don't measure the ability to think deeply or creatively. So, if the entire point of these tests is to provide someone's intelligence level, and they are not doing that, what is the point of these tests? Standardized testing is not only inaccurate, but also harmful for students' mental health. According to the Doctor of Medicine, Elon Cox, from U.S. News and World Report, between kindergarten and 12th grade, students are tested 112 times, and the increased test-taking pressure on students has resulted in more anxiety. These standardized tests lead to anxious students not better prepared, and educators actually leaving their profession at an alarming rate because they are frustrated at not being able to give children the knowledge and skills needed for life achievement. Wealth and socioeconomic status are also important and impact how students do on these tests. Schools are funded by property taxes, so students from wealthier families get to go to better funded schools. These families can also afford their children to take more test prep and tutoring lessons to help them perform and score higher on these standardized tests. There is also evidence that wealthier families are more likely to get access to various disability accommodations, earning their child extra exam time. And because low-income families usually do not have these advantages, they struggle to compete with their wealthier peers. Other than socioeconomic status, according to Jill Richardson from the website TruthDig, race also causes inequalities when it comes to these tests. A 2015 research paper from the Center for Studies in Higher Education at the University of California, Berkeley, showed that between 1994 and 2011, race has grown more important than class in predicting SAT scores for UC applicants. Significant racial and class inequalities much earlier in life explain these persistent obstacles to upward mobility and opportunity. Even though these tests are publicized as being fair, the scores do not reflect that. Equalizing educational opportunities and human capital acquisition is the only way to ensure fair outcomes, which America is nowhere near perfecting right now. Although these tests have been put on halt this year because of the coronavirus pandemic, they have been around and used for so long because they can provide a benchmark for parents and teachers, allowing parents to see how their child is performing compared to other students in the class and state. They also can identify problem areas in a school's curriculum, causing teachers to focus more time on certain topics and subjects. This also helps students see what areas they should focus on more and improve in. Also, the fact that the majority of universities use these tests to measure intelligence makes them almost impossible to abolish. But because the coronavirus and the halt of these tests this year, it may be easier to abolish these tests for the future. Maybe the pandemic is what the world needed to see an end to these tests. According to Forbes magazine, abolishing standardized testing involves 3 steps. The first step would include signing and creating petitions in different districts for an assessment exemption by submitting a group of learner profiles, which show a variety of ways in which students or learners learn, such as intelligence preferences, learning styles, cultural and gender differences. The second step would include a comparability analysis, determining if the system can accurately report student progress in both achievement levels and growth rate. Then, if these are approved, they would move on to a 3-year testing exemption. The third step would be getting all the school districts in the state to sample student profiles after the initial exemption and see if the students' intelligence levels still seem to be normal. For the full exemption on a national level, there would need to be an update in the federal policy, which is determined by the governing board of the U.S. Secretary of Education. But with the help of the districts and then the states, this could be federally overturned and there would finally be an end to standardized tests. This plan solves the issue by starting at the local level and moving its way up to the federal level. Although the U.S. Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, ends up deciding if standardized testing is abolished for America, it is up to the states, the districts, and the university system to make standardized testing a thing of the past. If one state or one district stops testing, it will not do much, but much like the domino effect, if one state or one district creates a petition and it gets approved, many will follow. This 150-year-old test needs to come to an end. Every student does not fit in a one-size-fits-all box, and they should not be forced to complete these inaccurate tests to gain admission into the university of their dreams or to receive a scholarship in college. The health of students should come first, and no one's socioeconomic status should impact someone's admission into the university because they could pay for ACT or SAT training. As Dr. Elaine Cox said, every proud citizen wants the U.S. to race to the top of the global educational arena. Nobody wants any child left behind because of the social district they belong to or resources limitations. But just maybe we have been going around this in the wrong direction. We need to make a change. So sign petitions, speak to your city leaders, because the future generation of the country and the world depends on it. Thank you.